All right, hello there. This is Kevin from Reeb64 Gaming and Spare Room Studio. I'm happy to be here this afternoon here showing you a little bit about how to set up to become an online game streamer. I've seen a lot of these videos posted around, but not a lot of them show exactly what kind of equipment, what kind of setup that you need to get to a nice level of game streaming. So I wanted to put this quick little presentation for you. Hopefully you find it interactive and fun. I've also got links to all the products that I've used. No way endorsing those whatsoever, but they've worked for me and perhaps they can work for you too. So a little bit about me first. Um, I've been streaming now for about 1.5 years. I do this as a hobby. I am not a professional streamer. I've made over 100 videos and had them watched for over 3,000 minutes. That may seem like a lot, but in terms of streaming and YouTube, that's really not all that much. So I've still got a lot of learning to do. In terms of what I stream mostly PC games. I also do some Xbox One streaming, so some more of the modern consoles, as well as some of the retro consoles, such as Nintendo 64, and eventually we'll be getting into the GameCube as well. And now I'm also trying my hand at some how-to videos, particularly on sharing the knowledge that I've learned about how to do game streaming, and hopefully it'll help you to encourage you and get you started on your way as well. So without further ado, let's go into the background of game streaming. So first, before we get into the technical pieces, some questions to ask yourself. What kind of games are you planning to stream? Are you planning to do PC, console, perhaps some mobile or board games in real life? There's a ton of content out there that you can stream. But you want to pick the setup that's right for you because it takes a lot of space. I've almost got an entire room in my home dedicated to it. If you're trying to do more artistic or more creative things, you may need more space than someone like me who's streaming on a PC. There's also the time and money investment that you want to make. Game streaming, at least at a higher quality level, is not necessarily cheap or easy to do, but I definitely want to show you some tricks to it that can save you some money without sacrificing your quality too much. And then finally, make sure you're streaming not because you have to. It's very hard to make a living off of game streaming. You want to do this more for fun, to have fun with your friends, to show off your hobbies or your cool creative side. Don't do this getting into it thinking that you're going to get rich quick or become famous. It doesn't happen all that quickly. So, let's get into what I call the streaming continuum. Now, on the streaming continuum, you have two aspects. You have kind of the just getting started or more of the amateur side on the left-hand side. Now, this is it's fast and easy to get into it. It's also relatively inexpensive. You can probably start streaming with some of the equipment that you have laying around your house. If you've got a laptop with a microphone and a camera and a decent processor, you've got everything you need to start running your own Twitch or online streaming channel. Now, if you want to get to these space where you're a little bit more sophisticated, looking and sounding more like a professional with some more studio quality equipment, where you can get some visual effects going, that's going to be on the right hand side of the continuum. Now that's going to take some more time, money, expertise, and a little bit of dedication to get to that point. Now, the gold arrow that I've put there in the streaming continuum is what I try to shoot for. Again, I'm not a professional streamer. I have a day job, so I do this for fun. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I look and sound pretty well, too, to my audience when I'm streaming. And that way I can get a higher quality of content and deliver it to you, the viewer. So, as I go through this presentation, keep in mind the streaming continuum. I'm going to show you kind of the least expensive as well as some of the most expensive options that you can go with. And keep in mind that that's where that will fall on that streaming continuum. So, let's get into what exactly you'll need to become a streamer. So for the basics, I'm going to focus today on PC streaming, so games that you're playing or playing through your computer. So in order to do that, you're going to need a computer of some type. You're also going to probably want to look at getting some sort of a webcam or camera. Also, audio is an important piece. Do you have some sort of microphone, whether that be an integrated mic or an external mic? You'll also need some broadcasting software to record your videos and either stream them live or upload them to other content forums like YouTube. And then finally, if you are going to do live streaming, one of the things that you want to consider is your internet speed, and we'll get into some details there. And then if you want to go some of the more advanced routes, you want to make yourself look really good and stand out from the rest of the streamers out there, you'll want to look into some lighting, perhaps some background, some green screen, or some other visual effects. And then if you're looking to post your videos online and polish them up a little bit, I've got some tips for video editing software for you as well. So let's start with the base components. First, your computer. I'm going to estimate that you probably need a computer around $800 to $1,500 to get to that kind of gold arrow there on the streaming continuum. Now, that's not to say that your $300 computer that you picked up from Best Buy or Costco or wherever isn't good enough to start streaming. That's not the case. You can certainly start with that. But if you want to play more of the advanced or higher resolution graphic computer games, you want to invest in a high quality PC. So, as a rig, as we'll call it, there's some key components to that computer. And first is the processor, or really the computer's brain. This is really doing all of the logical calculations that drive your computer and make it tick. Now, you can go with either a PC or a Mac. I myself stream on a PC, but Mac will certainly work just fine. You're going to want to look for a relatively newer computer that has a newer processor. And by newer, I mean somewhere within 1 to 2 years at the oldest. So if you're looking at, from an Intel side, you're probably looking at an Intel 5th to 7th generation Core i5 or 7 processor. If you're looking to do the AMD route, I definitely try checking out some of their latest processors there. They just came out with a new one. Give that a shot. But you're going to want to look for something that's about 1 to 2 years in age. Why the more powerful ones? Streaming takes a lot of computing power. Especially if you're trying to stream and record at the same time, you're going to want to have a PC that can handle both. Next piece is your memory, or your random access memory. This is essentially the table that your computer has to lay out the applications and do its work. Ideally, you'll want to have at least 8+ gigabytes. You can certainly do it with less. Just be aware that on that streaming continuum, you're going to be more on the left-hand side if you choose something with perhaps less than 8 GB. But definitely, if you want to start with less gigabytes and then add as you start to become more familiar, that's certainly a good route to take. For a memory, there's a lot of memory options out there from a hard disk drive perspective. You can use hard disk drives, solid state drives, and there's lots of different in-between pieces there. I myself use traditional spinning platter hard disk drives. They're not fancy, they're not extremely fast, but they have lots of space. And I have about a 5 TB hard disk drives between the two that I have in my current PC. Keep in mind, if you're streaming in HD and you want to keep some of those recordings, I've seen that about an hour at 10,000 bits roughly equates to about a 10 GB file size. So depending on the size and quality that you're looking for, you can tweak that a little bit, but HD videos do take up a lot of space. The next thing you're going to want to look at with your PC is a discrete graphics card. Integrated graphics is really tough if you're planning on streaming games. Now, if you're planning on streaming some of your artistic work or something that doesn't require a lot of in-computer power, such as if you were going to stream yourself painting a portrait, for example, you might be able to get away with some integrated graphics. But if you're playing PC games, you're going to want to look at a discrete graphics card. AMD and NVIDIA all offer great products. Again, kind of use that same 1 to 2 year in age, going back to your processor age as well. For desktop PCs, you're going to want to look at NVIDIA GTX 950 or above if you're playing more of the more current first-person shooters, lots of movement type games, Rocket League, and then AMD as well. You're going to want to look at their newer stuff. Don't forget about PC monitors, because it's really hard to stream if you can't see what you're streaming or what your audience is viewing. So keep that in mind when you're purchasing your computer, whether that be a laptop with an integrated screen or a PC with a separate monitor setup. So a little bit about what I use. I use a base stock computer. I went to Dell. I bought it offline. It's an XPS 8900. I've made some tweaks to it. The processor is a Core i7. Added 32 GB of RAM there, so I use a lot of multitasking programs, so I use the extra RAM a lot. 5 TB hard disk drive. Again, I like to store a lot of my videos and I don't want to delete them, so I need that extra space to save those high quality files. And then from a GPU, or graphics processing unit perspective, I use an NVIDIA GTX 960 G1. It's about 1.5 to 2 years old now in terms of the date from which it was initially released, but it works just fine. You don't have to have the latest and greatest technology in order to make your streams look good. In fact, things that are 1 to 2 years old, you can get at a great price without having to break the bank. So roughly, between your computer costs, look at somewhere around $800 to $1,500 if you're looking for that gold arrow on the streaming continuum. Next piece you're going to want to look at is a USB camera, or some sort of camera that goes that feeds into your computer. it's a lot of fun to have your picture included, and your audiences love to interact with you. It makes it a little bit more personal and helps them relate to you as a streamer. If you're looking for an HD webcam, you'll want one that supports at least 480 to 720p, if not higher resolution. It's really hard to interact with someone when they look like a bunch of pixelated dots. So definitely look at a higher quality USB type camera. I myself use a Logitech C920 camera, runs about $60 off of Amazon right now, and I'll include the links to these products in the video description so that you can click on them, check them out, and see if you can find some good deals on there. But for a USB camera, look to see somewhere in the $30 to $100 range. You don't have to go break the bank, but do buy a nice camera that you'll use in the future. From an audio standpoint, people want to hear you as you're listening to me now. Hopefully there's not a lot of static or a lot of background noise, and you can hear my voice coming across clear and crisply. You don't want to have any of that static or background noise because that detracts from the game that you're playing. It interferes with the audio, and people can't hear you or the game that's being played. So there's a lot of potential options you can use for recording your sound. If you've got a laptop with an integrated microphone, you're good to go. You can start streaming right away. Just be aware that the quality is not going to be that good. Again, you didn't have to pay anything extra for it, so you're going to be on the left-hand side of that streaming continuum. Headsets are a little bit more expensive, usually run somewhere in the $30 to $100 plus range. They have significantly improved audio, and I like using them, especially for console gaming. For PC gaming, it works just as well too. You just have to get used to having that little microphone bud in front of your face the whole time. If you really want to go to the top end and use an external audio interface and a microphone, that can get really expensive. If you're doing streaming for, say, music, you play an instrument or you sing, you definitely want to go with the external audio interface and microphone. You will sound so much better. Your music will sound so much better with that external microphone. I use a Scarlett Solo as well as a Neewer NW700 microphone. It's a condenser microphone. I'll put the links in the description there. I found that it's been great. I've used this for streaming myself. I've streamed with my friends. The microphone and the audio interface works great, and it's pretty easy to set up. Next, let's talk a little bit about broadcasting software. So you've got your basic hardware components, but now you need to get some software so that others can see what you're streaming. Oddly enough, this is the least expensive out of everything. You can find a lot of free options. If you go to twitch.com and click on their help function for new streamers, they offer 3 suggestions for streaming software: open broadcasting software, or OBS, XSplit, and Game Show. There's a lot of really cool stuff out there. Those are just a small sample, and I've got the link there that you can click on. I'll put that in the description, and you can see what each of those programs has to offer you. I myself use OBS Studio. It's 100% free. It works great for streaming and helping to record my videos. It is a little bit tricky to set up, so I'm hoping in the future to do some videos where I show you a little bit more about OBS and what it has to offer, and how you can tweak some of your settings to get just the right stream settings for you. Now, one of the most overlooked items that I've seen is your internet speed. Your internet speed has a huge impact on your stream if you're going to live stream, as well as if you're uploading videos. So be careful with your internet service provider. They will advertise usually their download speed, which are typically much faster than the upload speed. And so what is download and upload speed? Well, download speed is how fast information comes from the internet to your computer. This is really important for when you're viewing other streams. If you have a higher megabit per second rate, you can see 1080p videos or 720p videos in a much clearer and crisp manner than if you had a lower megabit rate. Now, your upload speed is what's going to be important for you to get content to your viewers. This is how fast information is sent from your computer to the internet. Now, one of the things that you'll want to look for, I mentioned earlier, is this megabit per second, or Mbps. You can go to a site like speedtest.net. There's lots of different ones out there that can test your megabit upload and download speeds. But if you're looking to stream, I would recommend that you use at least 5 megabit per second upload speed for streaming in HD at 720p. You can certainly stream in lower qualities such as 480 or below with a lesser upload speed, but definitely take a look at that. Depending on the software that you're using, if you're using OBS or XSplit or any of the other types out there, they all have a server that they connect to, whether that be Twitch or any of the other streaming services out there. You'll want to look into specifically how you connect to those servers. Typically, the closest one geographically to you is the best one, but there's lots of tests that you can find out there to ping each of those servers and figure out which one is the best ping for you, or essentially how fast information is being exchanged between your computer and that site's server. So, if you follow me so far, you've got all the basics for streaming. Keep in mind that at this point you've probably spent about $830 to $1,800 based on some of the trade-offs that you've made, not including some of the internet speeds. But remember the streaming continuum. Don't let the high price tags shock you. You can get started on the just getting started or amateur stream for a lot less money than $830. And I encourage you to do so. Try it out, see if you like it, see if you like streaming. See if you like the audience that you're getting, some of the reactions, and then as you start getting a little bit more proficient in streaming, now you can start looking at getting some more of the advanced options, which is exactly what I did. I started with a really crappy old webcam from 2002 and a spare set of headphones that I had laying around the house. And I made a lot of videos on it, which did pretty well. And from there, I started building. I invested in an upgraded webcam, the external audio that you see here, and try to make it sound a lot better. So don't get discouraged, try it out, and now let's take a look at some of the more advanced items for once you get your stream started and you become a little bit more familiar with how it works. So one of the first things that you'll want to invest in is good lighting. A great webcam is great, makes you look awesome, but lighting makes you look even better. It makes a huge difference, and it removes a lot of the shadows or color distortions that come with traditional lighting that you may have around the house. Take a look at the nearest light bulb next to you. It probably has that little like yellowish glow or tint to it. With good lighting, you get kind of daylight. You remove some of the shadows, and you don't have to break the bank to do this either. Look for those daylight bulbs. You can put them in your existing light fixtures. That'll make a big difference. You can do that for, 10, 20 bucks. Go to your local hardware store and pick up a couple cases of that. If you want, I use a lighting kit. I have some umbrella stands next to me here that diffuse the light to get rid of some of the shadows that you would see from just the regular lights that you have around the house. Honestly, putting a piece of white tissue paper over your existing lights can make a huge difference in removing some of those shadows. So you can go all out if you want. I think my lighting kit cost about $45, $50. There are some real professional ones out there you can buy that are hundreds of dollars, or you can just go to your local hardware store, get some daylight light bulbs, get a couple packs of tissue paper, put it over your lights, diffuse the light. You can do that for about 20 bucks. Now your background. So you may be wondering, how am I floating here in front of the presentation without anything behind me? Well, I use a green screen. You don't have to use a green screen. You can use a blue screen, a tan screen, whatever color screen that you want to use. But a green screen, from a traditional standpoint, is used to differentiate between you and items in the background. So your camera is going to look and essentially say, subtract everything in the background that is of this color, plus or minus, which is called a chroma key. So lighting is really important, that you have even lighting across your background so that you don't run into issues where you've got background items that are kind of peeking through behind you. And so I use a simple stand and a green screen material that helps me do some of the streams that I do. You can find the right size that fits your personal taste, size, and shape. I've got a whole room for this, so I have a 10-foot one behind me, but if you've got a small area, you can easily find ones that are 3 to 6 feet that will work just fine. My suggestion to you is measure twice and buy once. You don't want to have to go buy the biggest thing that you can find and then buy the smallest cloth only to realize that you've got to reinvest and buy more cloth in order to set your perfect background. So definitely keep that in mind. Finally, if you want to get into some of the post-production after you've done streaming and you want to clean it up a little bit and make it look pretty, video editing software. There's a lot of neat stuff out there that is really expensive. You can go the professional video editing route. You can look at Adobe Elements, Lightworks, Final Cut. There's really cool stuff that they do, but they cost a lot of money. Especially if you're just starting out, I recommend you check out some of the free programs out there. One that's worked for me and that I use to edit the video that you're watching right now is called Easy Movie Maker. It is available for Windows. It is absolutely free. If you do use the free version, they put a little watermark in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen when you are presenting. But try it out. It's really easy to use. There's tons of them out there. I pay the $3 to remove the watermark. It's a lot better than paying the subscription fee for something like Adobe Elements or paying thousands of dollars for something like Lightworks or Final Cut. So, just to recap what we've covered here today, what does it take to be a Twitch or online game streamer? We talked a little bit about the streaming continuum and in terms of how much money and time that you invest versus getting some of the more professional looks. We talked a little bit about the equipment. We covered some of the computer, camera, audio, broadcasting software, internet speed, lighting, background, and video editing softwares. And then finally, if you've been keeping track of what the costs would be, from a basic standpoint, you're looking at somewhere between that $830 and $1,800. And from an advanced standpoint, you're looking at somewhere potentially upwards of $2,000. Now again, you don't have to break the bank to become a streamer. A lot of this equipment that you need, the basic stuff, you probably have sitting around your house today, or you can find relatively inexpensively. So try it out, set it up, start streaming, see how you like it, and then if you find that this is something that you really enjoy doing, you can take it from there and really have some fun with it. So I certainly encourage you, go out, have fun. I've enjoyed streaming as a hobby, and I hope you do as well. If you like some of my videos here, hopefully we'll be doing some more how-to videos and getting into more of the details on some of the aspects that I just discussed with you here today. Feel free, send me a comment, send me a direct message. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Streaming has been a lot of fun with me, and I hope to share that passion I have with you. So with that, thank you very much, and have fun streaming. Hey, this is Kevin from Reeb64 Gaming. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you'd like to see more fun videos like the one you just watched, click over here. And if you want to get alerts for when new videos are available, you can subscribe to my channel right over here. Thank you for subscribing, and we will see you next stream.